Hey everybody, how's it going today? When you come into the video, just make sure you tell me if you can hear me and you can see me, because I want to make sure that that everyone can see me and hear me before we start. So if you can hear me and you can see me, write a number 1 in the chat. And if you can't hear me and you can't see me, then write a number 2. All right? So we'll give everyone a second here to get into the video, and then we'll get started with our topic today. So let's see, I see some people are already in there, typing in number 1. That's great, great. So yeah, you guys, today we're going to talk about phrasal verbs. And if you want to learn more about phrasal verbs, I have lots and lots and lots of phrasal verbs on my YouTube channel. So you can just look for English with Kris Amerikos, or you can search for daily phrasal verbs. And today our topic is phrasal verbs. So I hope you guys are ready. So first of all, I see some comments here. Great. Everyone can hear me. Everyone can see me. That's great. Hi, guys. Yeah. Hello. I'm good. How are you? Great. Great to have everybody back here today. So today is all about phrasal verbs. And let me just tell you a little bit about who I am in case you don't know who I am. My name is Kris Huntley, or Kris Amerikos. And I am a professional teacher of English as a foreign language. So people from different countries who don't know English, or English isn't their first language, I help them learn this language and use this language to communicate with people. And I also help language schools and English schools around the world find great teachers from the United States, from England, Australia, Canada, and I help them find these teachers and bring them to work in their company. So this is what I do. I also help teachers set up their own language teaching businesses. So if you have any questions about any of that, if you're interested in English lessons or learning about a specific topic, you can just send me a message. And so I see a funny comment here. How can anyone write number 2 that they can't see or hear you if they can't hear you when you say it? Very good point. But luckily everybody here said that they can hear me and see me. All right, I see we have someone here from Buenos Aires. That's cool. Hi, I've been to Buenos Aires, great city. And I see some people from Mexico, from lots of different places in the video today. And I see some questions too. They're asking where I'm from. I am from the United States. I am right now in Florida in the United States. That's where I live. And so, yeah, I'm American, and that's who I am. But I've lived in a lot of different countries. I've lived in Germany, Italy, Russia, United States, and I've traveled to other places. So yeah, I really love teaching English, and I hope you guys love learning English, because that's why I'm here. So wow, we have lots and lots of people in the chat today. Excellent. So guys, yeah, if you have any questions, you can send me a message on Facebook or on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. You can find all of the links to go to my website or my YouTube or my page. You can find all those links in the description of this video. All right, so all the information about this video is where you'll find information about how to contact me. So let's go ahead and get started today with our topic about phrasal verbs. So first of all, when we talk about phrasal verbs, we need to remember a few things. And our last video was about phrasal verbs also, and that was part 1. Today is part 2. So we're going to talk about the same things that we talked about in part 1 really quickly, and then we're going to talk about some new concepts, and I think you'll find them very useful. So when we talk about phrasal verbs, we need to ask, why are they so difficult? And one reason why they're difficult to learn is that native speakers think that they're easy. So native speakers use them all the time because, you know, people from the United States, England, Australia, different places like that, they think that these phrasal verbs are easy. They think they're easy because the words are small. So they think, you know, I put two small words together, and that means that everyone should be able to understand. If they understand these two words, they understand this phrasal verb. But that's not true, right? And that's not true for the second reason why they're difficult, and that is that phrasal verbs usually have more than one meaning. Phrasal verbs are very difficult because native speakers think that they're easy, and because they usually have more than one meaning. So that's why they're difficult. Now, when we talk about phrasal verb grammar, there are 3 categories of phrasal verbs that we need to know about. And before we talk about that, we need to know some terms about grammar in English. So what we need to know is that there is a subject, or a person or thing, that does something, does an action. Then we have an action, the verb. And then we have an object. And an object is the person or thing that receives the action. So the subject does the action, the object receives the action. That's important when we talk about phrasal verb grammar, because there are 3 categories. The first category doesn't have an object. And we can't move these 2 words around, right? Because phrasal verbs are made of 2 parts. There's a verb and a particle. So an example of a phrasal verb is sit down. We have sit, verb, and down, particle. So they have, when these 2 words are together, they have a special meaning. And we don't say, sit down yourself. No, there's no object, just sit down. That's the first category. The second category has an object, but again, you cannot move the words. So like in the first category. So an example here would be something like, look for. So I look for my keys. We can't move the words. We can't say, look my keys for. No, we can't say that. And but we have an object, right? Keys. And in the third category of phrasal verbs, we have an object, and we can move these words around. But if we have a pronoun like he, she, it, me, we, if we have those words, then it has to go in the middle of the verb and the particle. So those are our rules. For example, turn off. Third category, turn off. We can say turn off the lights. We can say turn the lights off. They're both correct. We can say turn them off. Them is a pronoun, so it goes in the middle. Turn them off. But we cannot say turn off them. All right, so those are the rules of the third category. Now I'll go back to the chat and look at your questions. Let's see, pick up. Pick up is another phrasal verb. Good, that's the third category. Do you encourage viewer movies translated? Sorry, I don't understand your comment. Let's see, you have to have memory. Yes, yes. Rodrigo writes, free class, I love it. Yeah, I love it too. All right, guys. So, great comments. People from all over the world in here saying hello from everywhere. That's great. All right, guys. So let's get back to it. So what's the best way to learn phrasal verbs? What's the best way to learn phrasal verbs? What do you think? I think the best way to learn phrasal verbs is to study particles. And I see in the comments, Angela wrote, there's also fourth category, verbs followed by two particles. That's correct, yes. That's a little more advanced. So today we're not going to talk about that category, but thank you for including that. How can I know the meaning of the particle? Very good question, Anna. Very good question. We're going to talk about that right now. All right? So I see there's another question. Can you share 3 categories to us with a chart? I can, but not right now on this screen. So maybe in another lesson. And you can also see these 3 categories in my videos about phrasal verbs on my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you'll get a new phrasal verb video every single day. That's right, every day I make a new phrasal verb video. And I also use Telegram, the telephone application called Telegram. And there I also release a new video every day. So go there, subscribe there. And if you can't find it or anything else, you can send me a message and ask. Yeah, you should also go to my Facebook page and add me to your friends. And that way you'll always see my lessons, and you'll always see what information I have to share with you. So the best way to study phrasal verbs is to learn particles, because particles have a special meaning, and we can use this meaning with lots and lots of different people. All right, with lots of people, with lots of different verbs. Sorry about that. Yeah. Can you repeat your YouTube channel? My YouTube channel is just English with Kris Amerikos. Great. So the best way to study phrasal verbs is to learn particles, because when we learn the meaning of the particle, we can use it with lots of different verbs. All right. They usually have a very similar meaning, and it helps us learn lots of phrasal verbs at once. So that's what I recommend. But today, we're going to be focusing on 2 words, go and come. We're going to look at all of the different phrasal verbs that we can use with this. Not all of them, but some of the main ones. And before we can do that, to talk about come and go, we need to talk about another concept. All right? This isn't directly about phrasal verbs, but it's very important. So the first thing that we're going to talk about right now is we're going to talk about conditions or states that we are in. Now, if you don't know what those words mean, for example, if you're tired, this is a condition that you can be in. And in English, there are some conditions that we need to know about. For example, when we use the word in or when we use the word out, these are conditions that we are in. And it describes something about how we do something. So, for example, in some languages, you can't say just, I am in, because in will be connected to other words. But in English, this is a separate word. So we're going to talk about those conditions first and what that means. Great. So I see a question in the chat. Are you American or British? I am American. I'm American. But as a teacher, of course, I teach people about British English and about American English. So it's good to know both. But I'm American. Thanks for asking. And great. So let's talk about these conditions. The first one is in and out. In and out. So the idea here is that if I say that I'm in, for example, I'm in this room, then that automatically means that I am not in the condition out. All right? And if I want to change conditions, like if I use a verb to show that I'm changing conditions, then I need to remember this rule, that these are just two sides of the same thing. So, for example, if someone says come in, then first, this person they're speaking to needs to be in the condition out. If the person is not out first, then he cannot come in, right? I hear this mistake sometimes when someone says something like, stand up. And if a person is already up, then we cannot say stand up or get up, right? If a person's standing in front of us, we cannot say get up, because he is already in the condition up. And for him to get up, he needs to first be in the condition down. All right? So this is a really big concept, and we need to understand this concept to understand phrasal verbs better. Great. So in and out, right? These are opposite conditions. Another set or pair of these conditions is on and off. If we say turn the lights on, first the lights must be off, correct? You understand that? So this is about conditions. Another pair of these conditions is up and down. Okay? And we can also see away and back, because away means that we're not in this place, we're not here, and back means when we move to a place that we already have been, right? If we have already been there, then we can go back. So we're going to look at that a lot today. These are conditions or states, and we can say that they are opposite conditions or states. So let's go back to the chat and see what everybody is writing. Should we learn idioms because phrasal verbs are easier than them? Actually, phrasal verbs are very similar to idioms when we talk about the different meanings. Like I said before, there is usually more than one meaning of each phrasal verb. And when we talk about phrasal verbs and when you see the examples that I'm going to give you today, you'll see that honestly, these phrasal verbs have two different types, or two different types of meanings. There's a directional meaning, like when we say stand up, all right, the direction is up. But when we say something like stand up for something, this has a metaphoric meaning, like a metaphor, all right? So we have a directional meaning and a metaphoric meaning. Stand up for something means to fight for this thing or to protect this thing, all right? So this is how we want to be thinking about phrasal verbs and meanings of phrasal verbs. There's usually a directional meaning, and there's also usually a metaphoric meaning. All right, so like I said, we need to talk about some concepts before we get back to phrasal verbs to understand it correctly. And then we'll talk about come and go. So the first concept that we talked about was condition, in versus out, on versus off. The second thing that we need to talk about is language that depends on where we are. It depends on where the speaker is, and it depends on where the listener is. So you're probably going to think right now, when I tell you about this, you're probably going to think, this is so easy. Why are you explaining this? Why are you talking about this? But honestly, the reason I'm talking about it is because it's so important and a lot of people don't understand it correctly. So the first thing we're going to talk about is here and there. Now you're probably laughing. Here and there, I know those words. But honestly, a lot of people don't know them. They think they know them, but they don't know them correctly. So what is here and what is there? Here means near me, or the person who's speaking. Near me. Here, near me. There, near you, or away from me. All right? That is a very, very important concept for us to understand. You're probably laughing and thinking it's so easy, it's so easy. It's not easy, and you'll see why. I'm going to show you how this is very important. Because it's not only about here and there. There are other words that have this meaning. So the important thing here is this concept. Near me or away from me or near you. Okay? Here, there. Another set of words that has this same meaning, the same concept, is this and that. All right? So let me give you some examples of this. Let me give you some examples. If I say here, I'm always talking about near me when I'm speaking. So, for example, if someone calls me and I say, hello, 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 are you, what should I say? Should I say, are you here? Are you there? What should I say? I mean, I'm talking to them on the phone. They called me. So I should say, are you there? Hello, are you there? Because if I say, are you here? It means the person is near me, right? In this same location where I am. Another mistake that I hear about this is sometimes when people are talking about a place that they went to in the past, they'll say, you know, I really like the restaurant. The atmosphere is so cool. And they should say there. The atmosphere is so cool there. Not here. Because if they say the atmosphere is so cool here, maybe they think that they're talking about the restaurant so they can say here. No. Okay? They should say, I like the atmosphere there. It's in a different place. It's not near us right now when we're speaking. All right? So when we use this and that, it has the same meaning. So for example, this is my pen. That is your pen. That pen is not near me. This pen is near me. So it depends also where we are and who we're speaking with, right? So if the pen is closer to you, then I will say that pen. If the pen is closer to me, I'll say this pen. If I have more than one pen, then I'll say these pens. And if you have more than one pen, I'll say those pens. But when you speak to me, it will be the opposite. So it depends on where you are. All right? Now, let's talk about pronunciation a little bit, because I really hear a lot of times when people make mistakes pronouncing these two words. But first, I need to answer some questions in the chat. Let's see. How often do you have live lessons? When will the next one be? Good question. Thank you. I do these lessons every Tuesday at the same time. So that's 8:30 p.m. Moscow time. And right now that is 12:30 p.m. in New York. So that's what time I do it, every Tuesday. And you know, if you add me to your friends, then you'll always see when I have a new lesson. And if you press like in the group English is Fun, then you'll always see when new lessons are in the group. All right, guys? So let's go back to our topic. The words these and those. Some people don't pronounce them correctly. So here we have this sound at the beginning. The E, long E, the, and then Z, these. Okay? One is this pen. At the end of the word, we have S, this pen, it's one. These, two. All right? Great. Okay, so we've talked about these different concepts. We've talked about condition, like in and out. We've talked about the concept of near us and away from us. And we saw how this concept is important to understand here and there, this and that, these and those. It's also important to understand come and go. All right? Come and go. And when we talk about come and go, we also have the same concept. The same concept. All right? Here and there, near me and away from me. When we say come, it means that you move near something. And when we say go, it means that we move away from something. This is very, very important. Come, near, go, away. So that's why usually you hear people say, come here, right? Because come means near me, and here is where I am, near me. We don't usually say come there, because this means move near and move away, so it doesn't make sense. And also we say go there, right? Move away, go, and away from me, there. But we don't say go here, because go means away and here means near me. It doesn't make sense. So guys, this is a very, very important concept. And it's not only about come and go, it's also about bring and take. Bring and take. All right? So bring and take, it's about when we're holding something, an object. We're holding an object in our hand usually. And if we move near something with this object, it's bring. And if we move away from someplace, it's take. All right? I see some more comments here in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and answer them. One of them is about, let's see, are you planning to give advanced lessons for English teachers who speak English as a second language? Great question. I also do teacher training, and we cover teaching topics and English topics for teachers who are from other countries and who have a good level of English. And so this is something that I offer. If you're interested in that, you can send me a message. All right? And anybody who's watching right now, go ahead and just add me to your friends on Facebook so that you don't miss anything in the future. Another thing I offer for teachers, though, is I help teachers start their language teaching business. All right? So we help someone go from having no business or no teaching experience, or maybe they have a business that doesn't make a lot of money right now, and we help them grow that into a business that helps them make money and they can live on that business. So, okay, let's go back to our topic for today. Our topic today is phrasal verbs. And remember that it depends on where you are when we use some of these words, like here and there, or bring and take, or go and come. Come and go is what we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk about lots of different examples of phrasal verbs with come and go. So I hope you guys are ready. All right. First of all, let's go back to this concept. Come here, go there. We talked about that already. So come here because both of these words mean near me. Go there because both of these words mean away from me. But now let's combine this. Go in and go out. So now we have this verb that means to move away, but in and out are conditions, right? So we can mix these two concepts together, and it's sometimes difficult, but this depends on where you are and where the other person is. So if you're not in the room, I can tell you, go in. But this means that I'm not in the room. So let's imagine that we have right here, there's a wall. Okay, so I'm in the room and he's not in the room. He's out of the room. And I tell him, come in, right? I say, come in, because I want him to move near me and change conditions so that he is in the condition in. Come in. Now, if I'm not in the room, right, I'm outside the room, and he's outside the room with me, I can tell him, go in, because he's moving away from me and changing condition to be in. Okay? The same idea with out. I'm not in the room, but he is in the room. I can say, come out. Come near me, change conditions, out. Or I can say, go out. If we are both in the same room, I can tell him, go out, right, to move away from me. So this is a really, really important concept for us, okay? Now, let's look at some other meanings of these phrasal verbs. Let's use some other meanings, look at some other meanings so that we can understand this even better. All right? So, first let's go back to go in and go out. Usually this is a directional meaning, like we talked about, right? The same about come in and come out. But we'll see that there are some other meanings. So to talk about the metaphoric meanings or different meanings of these words, first we'll talk about go through. And to go through something means to experience something. For example, I live here in Florida in the United States, and a few months ago, there was a big hurricane called Hurricane Irma, a big storm. And I can say that we went through Hurricane Irma. This means we experienced it. This thing happened, and we lived at this time. And this influenced us, okay? We have this experience of moving through that. Now, we could also say to come through something. And when we say come through, it's a little different than go through. Come through means that we survived this experience, all right? So we might say we've come through a lot of problems. We've come through a lot to get to where we are today. We've lived, we've survived. And come through can also mean to succeed at an activity. All right? To succeed at something. Like every time I need help, Mike comes through. Okay, Mike is the guy who can successfully do this. So go through and come through, these have other meanings. All right? Another example is to go around. To go around. And this usually means to avoid something or to find a way out. Like if your mom tells you you can't play with your friends and you go ask your dad, we can say that you want to go around your mom. Right? We want to find a way out of her decision. We want to avoid using her decision. To go around someone or to go around something, like to go around the law. All right? We could also say to come around. And again, this has a different meaning. So first of all, to come around means that we change our opinion to agree with someone. Like at first Susie didn't like my lessons on Facebook, but then she came around, so she changed her opinion and she liked it. Okay? Come around also has another meaning. It means to visit someone or someplace sometimes. So we might say, have you seen Mike? No, he hasn't come around recently. Or maybe he comes around about once a week. So these are some good examples of phrasal verbs with come and go. And remember, we first learned about come and go and this concept of being near me or away from me. It's important to remember that. Okay, another example, to go over something. So to go over something usually means to practice or to review. For example, right now, we are going over phrasal verbs. We're going over phrasal verbs. All right, next, to come over. This means to visit a place, and we need to travel some distance first. That's what over means. So we need to travel some distance to visit a place. We use this a lot with our friends. We might say, hey, what are you doing this evening? Oh, nothing, I don't have any plans. Great, come over. It means come to my house, be a guest, visit me. So before we continue with more examples, I'm going to go back to the chat and answer your questions. Please talk about get. Today, we're not going to talk about get, but we will have other lessons where we talk about other words and other phrasal verbs. Maria says, can you give another example of go around? To avoid something, go around to avoid something. So, for example, I told him not to do it, but he went around me. So it means that he avoided using my answer. He tried to find a different way. Let's see, can you give us a list of phrasal verbs in a document? I can, but this is just a free lesson on Facebook, so this is not the place for that. Please talk about idioms. Not in this video, but we do have other videos where we talk about idioms. Okay, great. So guys, I'm going to give you some more examples right now, but if you haven't done it already, you need to go to the English is Fun group, press like. You need to go to my page and add me to your friends so you don't miss anything. And you can go to my page on Facebook too, which is called English with Kris Amerikos. And you can check out all of the videos every day in that place. Great. And don't forget about YouTube and Telegram, because there are free videos there every day. So that's just a great resource. And you can find me on Instagram if you really want to. Okay, let's continue. Let's go on, because go on means to continue, right? And if we want to talk about another activity, like we continue some activity, then we need to use ing. So go on speaking, go on trying, go on working. And so that's the main meaning of this phrasal verb. But when we say come on, that's a little different. This has two different meanings. So first of all, come on might mean let's. The same thing as let's, like let's go to the mall, come on. So come on's like let's do it. Let's get started. Or maybe if we want someone to agree with our opinion, we can say come on. Like do it, agree. Come on can also mean to happen or to start. For example, the TV program came on at 5 o'clock. It started. So yeah, those are some different meanings of those verbs. So let's go to the next example. To go out. So to go out means to leave your house. And usually we mean to go to a restaurant, to go to a bar or a club or something like that, about nightlife. And someone might say, I never go out. It means that they don't go to parties. They don't go to restaurants. They don't go to things like that. But another meaning of go out, and this is usually go out with someone, this is to date. So if someone is a boyfriend and girlfriend, we can say they are going out. It means they're dating. They are boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, when we say come out, this is like to be released the first time. Okay, so we just let everybody have this thing the first time. The movie comes out on Friday, for example. Or maybe in a shop, when it's the first time that you can buy something, they'll say, it came out yesterday. Or this company is coming out with a new product. They're releasing it for the first time. So we have a couple more examples here, but let's see. I'm looking at the chat now and answering some questions. Kiara says, I think learning a list of phrasal verbs isn't useful. This class is great. Well, thanks for liking this this class, Kiara. But I agree with you. A list of phrasal verbs is not helpful. That's why every day you can just learn one phrasal verb just by watching the videos that I make. So on YouTube and on Telegram, you can get a new video every day. And that's a great way to learn. Let's see, what else? How often do you do these classes? We do this every Tuesday at 8:30 Moscow time. And that right now is 12:30 New York time. Great. So, okay, our last examples. Next example is to go off. To go off. And this has a few different meanings. First, to explode, like a bomb. So, when a bomb explodes, we can say the bomb went off. We can also say go off about making a sound. So, for example, if you have an alarm on your phone or an alarm clock, then when it starts making a sound, you can say, my alarm went off. Or if it doesn't make a sound and you're late to work, you can say, sorry, my alarm didn't go off. Go off might also mean to become very angry. And we usually say to go off on someone, to be angry and scream at a person, for example. He went off on me. It means he became very angry and screamed or yelled at me. Our next example is come off. Here again, we have a couple different meanings. And this one is to seem to someone else. So like if you say, you seem sad to me, we could say, he came off sad. And this is also like to give an impression. So he gave me the impression that he was sad. He came off sad. You know, if you say something that's not nice, other people think it's not nice, they might say, you came off very rude. And it means like you showed yourself, you presented yourself, you made this impression. All right, our next example, to go down. So first of all, directional meaning, right? To go to a lower level. So first we are on this level and now we go to this level, we go down. But also to go down could mean to crash, like about an airplane. The airplane went down over the ocean, for example. And to go down is also kind of slang, and it means that something happens. All right? So we might ask someone, how did it go down? It means, how did it happen? And we could also say to come down. So to come down, again, means to move to a lower level. We already talked about the differences between come and go, so you should understand that. But come down also means to relax after being in a different condition, or to go back to your normal condition. So this is especially about someone who maybe smoked something and they feel really good, and then when they feel normal again, we can say that he came down. So there's a funny example for you as the last example for today. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for watching today. And you know, it's really great that you decided to invest this time in yourself, because you're studying English, you're improving yourself, and these kinds of videos like this and these kinds of resources are great to help you learn English and to improve your level. So guys, if you liked this video, if you thought that this was useful, then you should go and add me on Facebook, or wherever you're watching this video. Add me on all of the social media sites. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Telegram channel, because I have free videos there every single day. Let's see, I see some comments here about teaching methods. send me a message about that question and we'll talk about it. And yeah, guys, add me on Facebook, add me everywhere, and make sure you like the English is Fun group. All right, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys next week.